There are hints of disappointment from some in the psychedelic community. That is an understatement. Is much more than disappointment. Hey y'all, it's 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙚. Today we're going to be talking a bit about microdosing mushrooms and the new research that's come out about it. This is going to be more of a low-key video though. I usually, if you're familiar with my videos, I put so much editing and time into each one of them, but I want to get more content out and I want y'all to hear my thoughts on things without having to go into 2 to 3 weeks of production on them. So let me know what you think about this style, this format. We're gonna do a low-key little OBS capture video today. I'm gonna be playing some makeover games and talking about microdosing. So let's get into it. I have been a microdoser for about 2 to 3 months now. Microdosing on and off, like 1 day on, 1 day off. Here's what's up. Everyone who's been microdosing has, you know, just been exclaiming the benefits and the love of it and all this kind of stuff. And new research that just came out this year was like, y'all, it's placebo. It's placebo. So that was kind of a bomb dropped. Let's hop into what the research is saying about microdosing being placebo effect. Here's the report. Microdosing with shrooms or LSD is no better than placebo effect, study finds. These studies were self-blinding, which means the people in the studies, the participants, they did not know if they had a placebo pill or an actual pill. But here we go. People who microdose or take tiny doses of psychedelic drugs swear that the practice boosts their mood, focus, and productivity without causing a trip. So this is true, and I can affirm this. Having microdosed the past few months, you don't trip. It's known as subperceptual, or it's supposed to be at least, but different folks have different things to say on that. Different folks have different tolerances for what they perceive, but I believe my microdoses have been less than a gram, so I have not been able to sense anything. I haven't had any visuals. I haven't even had that anxiety come up type of a feel on it. But this new research is finding that folks who got the placebo and folks who, you know, actually got the microdose, not much of a difference there. And that's somewhat of a shocker to me. But let's see what they say. Our results are mixed. On one hand, we observed microdosing's benefits in a wide range of psychological measures. On the other hand, equal benefits were seen among participants taking placebos. So these were folks who thought that they were microdosing who were not actually microdosing. Many participants who reported that they experienced positive effects while taking the placebo were shocked to learn after the study that they hadn't been taking the real drug. Yeah. The word on microdosing is out. Let's go with Madison. The word on microdosing is out. So it's a solid chance that the participants taking placebo, you know, had heard the good word on microdosing, and there's a solid chance that, you know, they were experiencing some of those things within the research, their own studies, all that kind of stuff, just being a participant in the research. I know for me, I feel like I've experienced real benefits from microdosing, and we're going to get a little bit into the blind spots of this research as well. So this research is not perfect. It's not necessarily ideal. They had limited resources for this research, and we're going to get a bit into what those limited resources were, because this is the first, or at least one of the first studies of its kind, and there's a lot more research to be done here. I also want to get a bit into why I would believe that it's true, potentially. But yeah. Let's see what eyeshadow I want to go with. So I started microdosing, like I mentioned, about a few months ago, a couple months ago at the top of the year. It's April now, and the days that I did microdose or remember to microdose, you know, I was more conscious about my activities and my habits. So it's like, oh yes, I remember to microdose today. I also remember to meditate today. I remember to do yoga. I took care of myself today. So whether that day was influenced by the microdose or just me having a heightened awareness about my routine, you know what I'm saying? Who's to say? Who's to say? I think that there could be some crossover there. I think that there could be, ooh, none of this, I guess I'll go with that. Yeah, there could be some crossover there in the Venn diagram, but also it's like, what am I attributing to a microdose that actually was just me waking up on time, having heightened awareness about my day, and remembering to take my microdose? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm looking forward to more research that is coming out, that is to come out about this. I think the other thing here that we'll get a little bit into is that the microdoses were self-sourced. Ooh, this is getting cute. This is getting cute right here. Meaning that folks got their, because LSD and psilocybin containing mushrooms are currently not legal, folks had to source for themselves. Like, participants had to source for themselves. So my guess is, like, most of these participants didn't have a test kit. Let's see. So the other half of it, right, is that the positive anecdotes that are out there about microdosing were confirmed were confirmed in the study. The issue is that the folks who had the placebo were also like, yo, improved an equal amount, you know? I don't know, there's so much we don't know about the placebo effect, and there's so much that we don't know about microdosing, y'all, that it's hard to say, just based off of this study alone, if a microdose effect is actually because of placebo. Yeah, a lot of the participants did not believe the researchers, but I think that also goes to show just the power of placebo, right? So a lot of us straight up underestimate the power of placebo, the power of our own mind, the power of ourselves to change our mood, behavior, patterns without some external chemical force. I want to see if it talks about the sourcing. I can't find about the sourcing, but I do know that it was self-sourced. I'm gonna mention this a bit later, but if y'all want to really dive into this, you should check out Psychedelics Today. It's a podcast, and they've done a few episodes with the actual researchers where they get into microdosing, the placebo effect, and also like the limitations of the research. So yeah, this research had limitations, but the ideas of the researchers, or their vision, was like, let's get this done, because it's not being done. So let's get this done, period, even if it is underfunded, under-resourced, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, let's move on to another game. Did any of y'all play any of these games coming up? I mostly played the Barbie and Polly Pocket makeover games, but these ones are pretty sick. And not all of them are online still because Flash isn't a thing anymore. Actually, at the top of this year, Flash said peace and peaced out of most folks' browsers. So it's nice that I'm able to do this right now. Yeah, let's go with that. But what do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section what y'all think about this. Some people are really gung-ho about this and saying like, yo, I don't care what the research says. I know the benefits that I have gained from microdosing. I know that it does something in my body. Where I'm at is I'm very pro-research, so the last thing that I would want to do is peace out on research and what research has to say. Because, you know, if this is actually microdosing and other research finds that this is legit microdosing, you know, then is it the best use of our medicine versus trips? I also saw some other research recently that was saying that you don't have to trip to reap the benefits of psilocybin, and maybe somehow they're finding some kind of way for folks to be able to have psilocybin without the trip. I don't know if that's a bit of a cheat code. I feel like the trip is also an important part of the medicine. But yeah, I guess the good news is that a lot of research is being done right now about this stuff. This room has a little bit too much going on. Like, I like this part. I like the bunny. The bed is all right. I like the lip phone, but that's about it. This room has a bit. I can't co-sign off this room, y'all. I can't back that room that I just created while I was going through this. Okay. So what are we to do, right? So for folks who have been microdosing, is like, do we stop microdosing? I think the answer to that question is no, because the jury is still out. This is just, you know, the first research. Hopefully it gets the ball rolling on more research. Maybe there's something we're missing here. Maybe different, I mean, some folks were taking LSD to my understanding, some folks were taking psilocybin to my understanding, but there are some controls that could be further put on this research. Control conditions such as everybody taking the exact same strain of mushroom, tested mushroom, you know, I don't know. The control is very loose in terms of that because people have to source their own stuff. So, you know, a lot of the stuff on the market that's mushrooms, that's sold as mushrooms, are actually mushrooms from my understanding. But a lot of the stuff that is sold as LSD, is actually not LSD. A lot of it is research chemicals. A lot of the times people will say they're selling you acid and be like, I wasn't selling you LSD, I was selling you some acid, and that means research chemicals. So for anybody watching this right now, it is extremely important to buy a test kit. Because you never know. You never know what somebody's giving you. And for me, I test everything every time. It's just not worth the risk of having irreparable brain damage. And there are some people who, you know, have not been the same after they've come out of an impure trip due to it being not acid. So yeah, there are a bunch of articles that y'all can find on this, but I'm just giving my thoughts and opinions, honest of them, to report that it wasn't much of a difference between placebo and the drugs. It's kind of refreshing people don't try to build up a minor finding or something. I think that's true. I think that it's important that this stuff is like objective, even though it's dealing with sacred earth medicines, right? Because we don't want to be Splenda. We don't want to be sugar companies. We don't want to be, you know, psychedelics are great and all the studies say that they're great and do amazing things and are actually, you know, better than placebo. And, you know, who wants research like that is just like 100% self-affirming. So I feel like that's true. I think that most microdosers don't care that much whether it's pharmacological or placebo. They're just going to enjoy the effects that they get. And that's also true too. There are hints of disappointment from some in the psychedelic community. That is an understatement. Is much more than disappointment. However, they supported the study with the hope of proving that microdosing wasn't a placebo effect. I don't know. I feel like the hope here is to know what it is. I feel like the hope here is to see it for its true self and be able to reap the benefits for yourself, whether it is ultimately decided that, like, yes, other research has backed this, it is placebo, versus it's actually not placebo. I feel like for myself, I want to be totally open to both possibilities. This one was my favorite when I was a kid. Oh, maybe it's not gonna work. Oh, see, I've literally forgotten how to play it. But yeah, let me know in the comments what y'all think. Have y'all microdosed? Have y'all reaped the benefits of that? Did you find not much of a difference at all? I'd love to know. And ooh, some short styles. Oh man. And when did y'all start microdosing? I know there are some people out here, they've been microdosing for a cute second, a hot second. And especially for folks who've been microdosing like a lot over time, they really, really are doubting the findings of this research. I follow one person on TikTok that I'd love to shout out right now. It's at Holistic Hustle on TikTok and at Microdosing Mom on Instagram. She has a bunch of really, really dope content about microdosing and the benefits and effects for her, but also where y'all can straight up order microdosing capsules and they'll come to you, which I think is also sick because, I don't know, there's some folks who live pretty remotely and it's hard to source. See, it's not applying this color though. It ain't giving what it said it was supposed to give. Okay. Look how that gloss is animated. That honestly, that was such a magical touch. That in my childhood, when I saw that animated gloss, I was like, art. This is the culture. This is art. Now I know what art is. And let's see what outfit we want. Click on your fave, then click on her hair. Why it gotta be my fave? Why can't it be more than one? Ooh, yes. Sweet. Let's call this tips for super long friendships. I love that. I need to know. Oh, don't follow the trends, set them. Next. And that's my cover. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All right, psychedelics today, or psychology today, excuse me. New study suggests microdosing may be macro placebo effect. Macro. So all of these different people are having a placebo effect. It may have mostly to do with expectations, right? So if we could magically create a pool of study participants who have absolutely zero expectations on microdosing, maybe folks who don't even know what's going on, what it is, that would be ideal, right? Folks who aren't self-sourcing, but folks who have checked off on a list like, yes, I would be down to try this, and have already pre-consented to getting psychedelics, but they don't know that they're gonna get psychedelics because we gave them a long list of like 50 different things, and they don't have any expectations for what they're about to like pop. That would be ideal, right? So, many participants reported, in fact, having intense spiritual experiences on placebo. But Is a placebo really placebo at that point, or are you just tripping off yourself? I guess it's the same thing. I guess it's the same thing, y'all. Please don't come for me. The research was based on citizen science approach, recruiting people who were... Oh, okay, so these folks were already microdosing. So not only were they already microdosing, they probably already had really, really high expectations of that. So I guess they were given a placebo that actually just cut their microdose. So that's interesting. But is microdosing the new homeopathy? What even is homeopathy? It's just such a wide net to cast. Okay, there is room for argument. The placebo effect did not explain the entirety of the positive effects of microdosing, just a majority. All right, so I guess that's an important distinguishment. That's an important thing to distinguish for many people. The study did find a small positive effect of microdosing over the placebo group that was not statistically significant. All right. However, it could potentially be significant in a larger study with greater statistical power. So I think that, yeah, initially I was being really like, when this studies came out, I was looking at all the little holes in it and I was like, yo. But while I was poking all the little holes in it, some folks in the psychedelics community, like Psychedelics Today on TikTok, they were like, hey, these folks were doing what they could with what they had, and it was either they did that or this don't get done. So I'm like, well, I guess this should get done. Overall, whether microdosing wins or loses for public approval, the study is a win for psychedelic science. For decades, LSD was administered in back alleys in sugar cubes. Now LSD placebos are measured in sugar pills and written about in mainstream publications. I wasn't around for the sugar cube LSD back in the day. I've never had it that way. That sounds delightful though. Could you take it in tea? Anybody in the audience right now, could you answer that question? Could you take it in tea? Yo, this game is just the same as the game I played before, but with different characters. I'm a little shook. Okay. I'm always gonna go for the pink hair though, because it's just simply so delightful. But how do y'all feel about this research? Were you disappointed when it came out? Did it not surprise you? Again, this is science, so there is a lot that cannot be explained scientifically that has to do with the psychedelic experience. For example, machine elves. What are they? You know what I mean? So I don't know if science will ever get to the place where we're actually able to science out every little piece of the psychedelic experience, or even most of it. Because it's that ineffable quality, right? Even though I get that you're not tripping while you microdose, it's that ineffable quality. It's that quality that we don't have the language for it. And so I predict that will probably be something that they are gonna run up on against in the future. I think this is cute enough. I like that makeover. She's an e-girl, she's cute. I'm gonna wind this down and let's look at some notable quotes from this episode. Based on our data, there is no question that people do better after microdosing. It's just that people feel equally better after they have taken a placebo. So I guess at the end of the day, we just want a bunch of people to think that they're microdosing and they can have better moods and improved life satisfaction and experience on a day-to-day basis. Let's figure that out. Let's figure out how to get a bunch of people to think that they're microdosing. I think that that is where the research leaves us right now, where it leaves us. But I'd love to get actual microdoses to people too. So if you want to get into that a bit, again, follow Holistic Hustle on TikTok. She has an incredible TikTok. And eventually, when things get more legal, I'm sure I'll be able to talk about it more on the tube. But for now, all I can do is give y'all some references. But I hope y'all have enjoyed this video today. Please let me know what you think of the format. It is a lot more low-key than my previous videos, but it's also just me giving y'all some stream of consciousness and giving y'all some of my childhood, some of my favorite childhood makeover games. So yeah, I hope y'all have a lovely rest of your day, and please subscribe if you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel. I just hit 1,000, my first 1,000 subs, which is, they say, is the hardest to get, your first 1,000. So please subscribe, and don't forget to keep it trippy.